presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are so.
On opening day, Freddie Freeman showcased a return to form with his first at-bat blast to center field. Freddie hits it a mile towards center. Revere going back, still going back, leaps at the fence. He can't get it. The centerpiece of the Braves' way will talk to us tonight about his responsibility as a leader. As much fun as Bryce Harper has playing at Turner Field, the same cannot be said for Steven Strasburg. The former ace of the Nats rotation has seen his share of trouble at Turner Field, where tonight he takes the mound against new Brave Bud Norris. Braves and Nationals baseball opening week continues next on Fox Sports South. April in the ATL continues tonight here at Turner Field. 30 games in 30 days for the Atlanta Hawks and the Atlanta Braves, who wrap up a brief two-game series with the Nationals tonight. Freddie Freeman, Adonis Garcia, and Bryce Harper all homered on opening day. The ball was flying out on Monday. We'll see if it's flying again tonight here at the TED. Hi again, friends. Joe and Chip, welcome back to the ballpark. Freddie Freeman's season off to a great start. Joe, any concerns about his wrist? Well, those went by the boards with his very first at-bat of the season.
Well, and one of the things about Freddie, he's one of the grizzled veterans now of this ball club in terms of tenure for the Atlanta Braves. And what Freddie tries to employ is the fact that he is not a leader by demonstration other than the way he plays and goes about his business. The best leaders in my book are the guys who aren't trying to be leaders and don't act like it.
And this is Freddie Freeman's philosophy on leadership in that Atlanta clubhouse.
I lead a different way. I'm not the rah-rah kind of guy that goes out there and has team meetings and dugouts and mid games. I just don't see the point in that. I like to go out and lead by example, and you know how I lead by example is trying to play every single game, you know, no matter what. And obviously that didn't work out for me last year. So, you know, I try to go out there and play hard every single day, no matter if I'm hurt or feeling good. I try to have the same attitude, go out there and play hard, and you know, I think that wears off on your teammates, and they want to do the same thing.
He's a Teddy Roosevelt kind of player. Speak softly and swing a big stick. And Freddie Freeman certainly did that here on Monday afternoon. When we come back, Paul Berg will join us to talk about the state of the Braves. Good things happening all up and down this organization. Paul will talk about that. We'll get to first pitch and our lineups right after this.
It's presented by Academy Sports and by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Well, Braves fans, there's been a lot made about all the trades that have happened lately, last couple years. But I need you to look at me. I need you to look at me in the eyes, and I know it hurt when they traded some of your favorite players, but I got to tell you this, John Coppolella is brilliant. He's passionate about baseball, and every move that he has made has been about making this team better. Starting from the ground up there, you see it, 89 total players involved. There he is right there, the #1 ranked prospect in the top 100, which fires me up. 7 players ranked, again in the top 100. And look at this, from 26th to 29th, all the way up to 3rd. And John Sherholtz, also involved, was able to say this today. He gave a little State of the Union address.
How I felt in 1991, the spring of 1991, and you all know what happened for the next 25 years after that spring training. That's how I feel about this organization right now. That's how I feel about our talent accumulation, thanks in large part to the great work that our president of baseball operations, John Hart, who is here, and our general manager, John Coppolella, did. Remarkable work they did. I mean, absolutely remarkable.
So Bobby Cox, John Sherholtz, John Hart, also all involved. We're very excited. I'm reminding you the Braves are off tomorrow, so why not go see some of these prospects? Even at Rome, Lucas Herbert, second rounder next year, will be behind the plate. These guys will be fun to watch coming up later. Braves lineup and first pitch coming up next.
Braves Baseball is sponsored by Chevrolet.
A breezy, crisp night tonight at Turner Field for Game 2 of the 2016 season. There's a look at Bud Norris, who makes his Atlanta Braves debut tonight. Joe, here are 3 things our fans ought to know about the Braves right-hander.
Signed as a free agent, 31 years old, 196 career games, 56 wins. There you see his arsenal. Fastball, slider, changeup, and a cutter. His 4 keys will come along in just a bit, but a lot of it has to do, his success will have to do with his control to both sides of the plate.
And he'll face Michael Taylor leading off for Washington tonight. Ben Revere already hurt for the Nationals. As Norris fires a 92-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle for a called strike. Taylor 0 for 2 on opening day. And Powder Rivers says Ron Culpa behind the plate, 0-2. Shift on for Taylor. 3 defenders left side of the infield. He's down on strikes. 3 pitches, 1 out. Norris off to a flying start.
And he was going back and forth each side of the plate. And that leads us to our 4 keys to success tonight. He's got to work that hard slider, that hard sinker to both sides, work on the outer third, the inner third of the plate, and zim. That has to do with Ryan Zimmerman. 5 for 14, 3 homers off of him. Naturally, he wants to keep Bryce Harper off the plate, off the bases, but Ryan Zimmerman is the guy that's done the most damage.
And he's hitting behind Bryce Harper, who's hitting behind Anthony Rendon. Rendon 1 for 5 in the opener. There's the first one off the plate for Bud Norris, who's looking for a redeemer year. No doubt about it. Bud Norris last year really struggled with the Orioles and the Padres. 3-11, a 6.72 ERA, and he was not healthy. Apparently nothing wrong with the arm, Joe, but bronchitis really sapped his strength.
Yeah, it really wasn't physical in terms of what you would suspect for a guy who had a bad year on the mound. You'd think it was arm or hamstring or something like that. His was illness, and he couldn't shake it, and really pitched from a weakened state most of the year.
And the Braves are hoping, quite obviously, to catch lightning in a bottle for Norris. 2 years ago, went 15-8 with the Orioles and picked up a win in postseason play that year as well.
Pitched brilliantly against the Tigers in the division series. Shut him out for 6 innings. But he's got to keep the ball down. Like I said, work both sides of the plate. Get ahead early in the count.
And he lost Rendon on 4 pitches. 1 on for Bryce Harper. Here's a look at the starting 9 for Dusty Baker. Mentioned Michael Taylor leading off. Ben Revere disabled. Already a rib cage problem. He hurt that swinging the bat here in game 1. Harper, then Zimmerman, one of Joe's keys today. Danny Murphy hit a homer. He's the second baseman. You know about Worth, Ramos, Espinosa, and Steven Strasburg. Bryce Harper, 98 career homers. That's down and away to Harper. 1 ball, no strikes. Drew Jenkins, our statistician upstairs, tells us last 8 games against Atlanta. Bryce Harper, 9 hits, 4 homers, 7 RBIs. And it only struck out 4 times in those previous 8 games. The kind of numbers, Joe, you expect from an MVP.
No question. And his success against the Braves covers all the staff. It's not just one guy. We showed you a couple of days ago his success against Julio Teheran, the ace of the staff, but it's spread out over everybody, left-handed or right-handed. Oh, good pitch.
A little low, I suppose. 2-1 for Harper.
Yeah, I thought he made a good pitch on the 3-0 pitch to Rendon. Around the knees, it was down, but didn't get the call.
Another half step on the lead for Rendon at first. Not going. And off the plate. Norris threw 3 straight strikes to Michael Taylor, walked Rendon on 4 pitches, now has to throw a dangerous pitch to Bryce Harper. 3-1 with that man Zimmerman waiting on deck.
And on a 3-1 count, Freeman's going to play behind Rendon just to give himself a little more reaction time.
Harper lashes that toward left. Oliveira drifts back to the edge of the track. And Harper skies out for the second out of the inning. Rendon back to first. So here is Ryan Zimmerman. He went 1 for 5 on Monday. And I don't know about you, the thing that surprised me most about Zimmerman was how good he looked running the bases.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact they gave him a lot of rest in spring training. They didn't overdo it. There are those numbers against Bud Norris in his career. He said he wanted 40 at bats. Told Dusty Baker, I just need 40 at bats. He got 42.
And no sign of issues with the plantar fasciitis, which plagued him for most of the year last year. So he managed to play 95 games last season. So Rendon at first with 2 outs. Zimmerman the batter.
I was watching Zimmerman take batting practice today, and you can tell he feels good just by the way he's swinging the bat in batting practice. He was attacking every pitch, driving it from right center around to the left field line. There wasn't any, didn't look like he was trying to work on anything other than just hitting the ball hard all over the ballpark.
Didn't get the sweeping slider. He's down to his last strike.
And the ball was jumping off his bat. Another good pitch by Norris. Bud's a bulldog. He'll come right after you. And when he's got his sinker working well with the slider, he's tough to beat.
And when he's missing, as you said, he is missing below the knees, which is very important for him.
Yeah, he can't pitch to the middle of the plate. He can't pitch above the belt. But I don't know too many guys that can.
Popped up toward first. Freddie Freeman at the bag, says he's got it. And that'll retire the side. A man left for the Nationals. Steven Strasburg to the mound. The Braves are coming up in the bottom of the first. Home for the second time in the first inning this season. Freddie Gonzalez's starting 9 has Ender Inciarte leading off in center. Eric Ibar short. Freddie Freeman, who kills the Nationals, hits third. Garcia, Markakis, Oliveira, A.J. Brzezinski, Jace Peterson, and Bud Norris to face Steven Strasburg, Joe, who turned things around in his final 2 months of the season last year.
He did indeed, Chip. He was on the disabled list a couple of times with a bad neck, a bad oblique problem, but his last 10 starts last year, a 1.90 ERA and only 8 walks against 92 strikeouts. He got it figured out, and he was outstanding.
As we know, Turner Field has not been one of Strasburg's favorite parks to pitch in. The Braves are hoping that continues tonight. There's the first to Inciarte. Darts low. 1 ball, no strikes. Ender went 1 for 4 here on Monday. And a good cut at that fastball and found it back for an even count.
He's got a good curveball too to go with that fastball that's still in the 94 to 96 range. Curveball is his changeup too.
And he almost hit Ender with that one. 3 balls and a strike.
All told last season only 26 walks in 127 innings. That's awfully good for a power pitcher.
That one at the knees. Full count.
You got to like about Ender leading off is like that 3-1 count. It was a good pitch to hit, but 3-1 to him is not necessarily a pitch he's going to swing at leading off the game. He's just trying to get on base. He knew he had the count. Even if it was a called strike, he had another strike to work with.
And he coaxes a leadoff walk. So Strasburg had to throw 7 pitches to Inciarte and lost him. And that'll bring up Eric Aybar. Always have to wonder about the psyche of Steven Strasburg in this ballpark. We've seen him pitch some great games. We've also seen him melt down figuratively and literally here.
Well, he's got a great night to pitch tonight. He's not going to melt down from any heat and humidity. It's a very pleasant night, temperature in the 60s.
Let's see if Aybar can move Inciarte around. He was 1 for 5 on Monday. Fouled away. I would think this would be a tough tandem to try to steal against. Ramos a good catch and throw guy, and Strasburg with that mid-90s fastball.
Well, and he's quick to the plate. He doesn't take a real high leg kick either. But whatever jinx the Braves had over Strasburg, he's been quickly putting that to rest too. His last 3 starts against the Braves, 18 innings pitched, no runs allowed. And he's gone 3-0.
This is a huge year for Steven Strasburg. He may be the star of this offseason's free agent class. And that's poked into the seats down the right side. Foul. 0-2 for Aybar.
That was a breaking ball that he left out over the plate. (27 years old, 6'4", 235.
Seems like yesterday he was the #1 overall pick and made it to the major leagues. He's beginning his 6th major league season already. '54 lifetime major league wins.
Bit of a quick pitch there, slide step, just in case Inciarte was running. Barely picked his left foot up.
Another 0-2. Runner goes, and Aybar fouled that away.
That was a good lead by Inciarte there because Strasburg didn't make him stop. He kept creeping off, sidestep, and got a good jump. Keep creeping, keep creeping, and was actually leaning, so he got an outstanding jump. And Ender poses really most of the threat the Braves have to run and steal a base. Jace Peterson at the bottom of the order can swipe a base or two, but Ender at the top, the only real threat.
Not going this time, and a bouncing ball to Murphy. He'll flip to Espinosa for one, and it's double play. So Ibar wraps into the twin killing. Bases are empty now for Freddie Freeman.
Well, all I did was watch Inciarte to see how he was sliding at second base. Pretty easy turn for the Nationals. He could have reached the bag, but didn't. It didn't matter.
And that brings up Freddie Freeman. Freddie hit his second career opening day homer here on Monday. And the Nationals have a big shift on for him.
Well, if Ryan Zimmerman is trouble for Bud Norris, Freddie Freeman is a problem for Steven Strasburg. .429 career mark with 3 homers.
And that body of work is our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot.
It's the highest mark in Major League Baseball against Strasburg.
And Freddie chased one in the dirt, and Strasburg has his first strikeout of the night. No score in Atlanta. We head to the second.
Top of the first ended on a pop-up off the bat of Ryan Zimmerman, and what a good pitch it was from Bud Norris. The target from A.J. Brzezinski's outside, but watch this fastball run in on Zimmerman's hands. He's got to pull his hands in to try to get the barrel to it, but that had some good action on it, running in on him. Great location, great result, and that goes to his movement to both sides of the plate and location.
And he retired a man that's hit him hard in the past to end the first inning. Now Bud moves to the second and faces Daniel Murphy, who had a couple of hits and RBIs for the Nationals on opening day. First pitch swing, and Freeman can't corral it cleanly. Norris to the bag, and did he keep the bag? He did.
Good recovery and some athletic stretching there by Norris to stay on the base.
Paul Maurer with the call.
Oh yeah. Well done, bud. That Pilates work this winter really paid off there.
And no replay challenge by the Nationals. Here's Jason Worth. Worth, the man that drew the key walk for the Nationals that turned into a big late inning run in the first game of the year. Worth 0 for 4 on that day. And a strike.
Worth's the oldest player in their lineup at 36 years old, and he's the oldest by 5 years over Zimmerman and Murphy. This lineup, and that includes Revere if he were the everyday center fielder who's now on the disabled list. They've got a bunch of guys in their prime. If prime is 25 to 32, they are loaded with that kind of player, and they all have quite a few years already under their belt in the big leagues.
I wonder though if the Nationals are saying, oh, here we go again, because last season they had their lineup together 2 games. That's it. Ben Revere plays 3 innings opening day, hurts a rib cage or rib muscle, and he's disabled. And those are tough to come back from.
No question. And Denard Span last year, I think he got hurt in the 2nd or 3rd game of the season.
Two balls, 2 strikes for Jason Worth.
Nationals called up Matt Den Decker, who we have seen mostly with the Mets in the past. Not sure if Den Decker's here yet tonight.
And this is what Jason Worth does. He sees a lot of pitches, had the 8th highest pitch per plate appearance average in the National League last year. That's why adding Daniel Murphy is such a neat addition for this Washington lineup. They lose Ian Desmond, could hit 20 home runs, but it's going to strike out 160 times. That's not going to be the case with guys like Murphy and Worth. To short, Ibar's got it. That's the 2nd out.
One thing's for sure, Chip, as we watch that play there from Ibar, is that the Braves, this team has got to catch the ball. They've got to be consistent in their defense on a nightly basis of not giving other teams extra outs. Their pitching staff just can't afford that, having to work overtime as they had to do on Monday evening.
So far so good through an inning and 2/3 as Wilson Ramos bats for the first time. And Ramos takes a little low. Washington looking for another big year by Ramos in 2016. 15 homers, 68 RBIs. He'd like to improve on a .229 batting average last year, so much so that he had LASIK surgery this offseason. It didn't help him with that pitch.
No, another good pitch. Might have been a cutter, might have been a slider. See on Fox Tracks where that pitch was located? Right on the outside corner.
Now 2-2.
Talked about this though Monday when the Nationals rallied. This guy, when he gets behind in the count, he'll cut down on his swing and go to right or right center. Still strong enough even then to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Didn't get the high slider, and Norris has his 2nd strikeout. Nats retired 3 up, 3 down. Adonis Garcia leads off the Braves' 2nd. We've seen some real nasty pitching from tonight's starters, Steven Strasburg and Bud Norris. How about the wrinkle that Strasburg unveiled against Freddie Freeman?
Yeah, I told you earlier he didn't really use a changeup except off of his breaking ball. He uses that as a changeup. But look at this circle change for the strikeout to Freeman, and that was at 91 miles an hour. Great location, great spot down in the dirt. Just what he needed, another weapon.
Yeah, and a 91-mile-an-hour changeup. This is Adonis Garcia for the Braves. He hit a homer here on Monday. So he's continued his terrific work for Atlanta. Those were his numbers over 58 games last year. Adonis played winter ball, had a good run there. And he's off to a terrific start tonight. Clean single up the middle past diving Daniel Murphy. And there's the first hit of the night for either club.
Tell you what, this guy can hit. We talked about it Monday afternoon about Chipper really bragging on him. Catches up to a high fastball from a hard thrower there and bangs it through the middle. He's now 3 for 4 in his career off Strasburg.
Nick Markakis hits with a man aboard. Markakis is 4 for 10 in his career against Strasburg. That ball's lifted toward left. Worth on the run's going to get there. And Garcia retreats to first. Markakis hit it hard, but he's retired. One away for Hector Olivera.
Kevin Seitzer told me if there's anyone whose numbers were deceptive in spring training, it was Nick's. He said his average didn't reflect how sharply he was hitting the ball and hitting it on the button and had nothing to show for it. That ball, a good example of it.
There's Kevin. Bouncing ball the other way by Olivera. And Garcia's going to stop at second and now challenge Bryce Harper's arm. So Olivera, a nice job of hitting. Runners at first and second with one out for A.J. Przinsky.
That was really well done. Nationals playing for a double play with Murphy playing up the middle. You know what? That might have been another changeup effort at a changeup, and he left it up in the zone. Or he was actually playing right behind the bag on a shift. First hit of the year for Olivera.
Who had a terrific spring for the Braves. Now AJ's up there, 0 for 4 Monday, 0 for 5 against Strasburg lifetime. Quick strike.
It's interesting, the Nationals play AJ to pull on the infield. They've got him shaded to left in the outfield. You can see Taylor over on the left field side of second base. Out in center.
Oh, what a cut. No balls, 2 strikes. AJ hit 300 for the Braves last year. Hit 330 with runners in scoring position last year. He's got some work to do now, though, behind in the count, 0-2. Didn't get the high fastball. AJ's down swinging. Second Strasburg strikeout. Now Jace Peterson will bat.
Boy, is that a good place to go when you throw as hard as he does. Ahead in the count, hitters in a defensive posture trying to put the ball in play, and all of a sudden you see something almost eyeball high, and you see it so well it's hard to lay off.
Peterson, the 8th place hitter for the Braves. And now time, and you have the pitcher waiting on deck.
We mentioned those numbers in his last 8 starts, Strasburg, and how good they were. His last 4 starts were even more definitive about how well he was pitching. His last 4 starts, he went 3-0 with an 0.62 ERA, but 4 walks and 44 strikeouts in those 4 starts, an 11-1 strikeout to walk ratio.
And that was not at all the way Steven Strasburg used to pitch. So he's really figured some things out. And the Nats are banking on him having a very, very big potential walk year for them.
When the Nationals made a managerial change and let Matt Williams go, they also overhauled their coaching staff. And for a guy like Strasburg to lose his pitching coach, Steve McCatty, that he's had in the big leagues all this time, it could have been a little unsettling to change pitching coaches. But when the Nationals hired Mike Maddox to come on board, what a break for all their pitchers to have a guy come on with his experience and knowledge.
At the knees, a ball and 2 strikes. Well, Strasburg is really driving through the ball, isn't he?
Excellent command.
Two on, 2 out, 1-2 count for Jace. And a breaking ball is rolled towards Zimmerman at first. Strasburg to the bag, and he pitches out of second, inning trouble. A pair of hits, a pair of men left for the Braves. We head to the scoreless 3rd. April in the ATL continues tonight at Turner Field. 30 games in 30 days. A beautiful night for the Braves and Nationals. All year long, our friends at Delta Airlines will get us from city to city. Mac Honey's out shopping for hamburgers, Almond Joys, and the rest of the goodies that we'll have on the charter flight on Sunday up to Washington, where we'll start our first road trip of the campaign against the Nationals early next week.
Another thing we've talked about with respect to Matt Coney is we forget about all those fruit cups that he's got to fill.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Grapes.
Yeah.
He's magnificent at it.
So Mac, looking forward to seeing you and the gang on Sunday evening. Bud Norris back to the top of his perch as he starts his third inning tonight with the 8, 9, and 1 hitters for the Nationals. Danny Espinosa, the shortstop, will get things started. So far, so good for Bud Norris. Nothing straight. Couple of strikeouts for him. 1 base on balls, the only national base runner. Something I can't wait to ask Bud.
94 upstairs.
Yes, you're right. He pitched in Houston. He pitched in Baltimore. Not exactly pitcher-friendly ballparks. Turner Field, much more to a pitcher's advantage. So see how that affects his years. That one's golfed toward the gap in right center. A long run for Enciarte to track it down. Espinosa at second is going to stop. And he'll take a stand-up double to lead off the third inning, with Steven Strasburg coming up.
That's one that crossed up the defense. Braves were shading him over into left center, and tons of room between Markakis and Enciarte, and it wasn't a bad pitch. Backdoor slider, and he went down there and hooked it. Long run for Ender to go get it.
Strasburg can handle the bat. 6 sacrifices last year in 22 games. He'll try to help himself with a bunt here. And he fouled it back for a strike. Strasburg, a career 145 hitter.
Throw him another high fastball. See if he pop it up.
Swinging this time, back to the mound. Norris flips to Garcia. They've got Espinosa in a rundown. Espinosa stays in it long enough. Well, not long enough. Strasburg stopped at first base. So they let Strasburg swing. He bounced it right back to the pitcher, and Espinosa is run down for the first out. Braves will take that trade all night long.
No kidding. Took a few throws from the Braves to get it done, but gave it up right away to the third baseman Garcia, which was smart to do. But now, that was a quick release there by Ibar. Now it's pretty much a case of him just being worn down. They just wore him out. And Strasburg not in any hurry to go to second base. Looked like Espinosa was at a point where he just said, somebody tag me, please.
They did. He's out. And here's Taylor. He struck out his first time. That's the area that Taylor has to improve if he wants to become an everyday player in the major leagues. They really like him in Washington. Mr. Baker was raving about him and his potential before this series started. But 158 strikeouts and 472 big league at bats is way too many. And already one here tonight.
Boy, the abilities there, though. 14 homers, 16 stolen bases, power and speed. This spring, he had 5 homers, drove in 16 runs and 53 at bats, and hit .450.
Lifted toward right. Markakis will have plenty of room. And Taylor skies out. There's the second out. And here's Anthony Rendon, who walked his first time up. This is another guy that I think the sky's the limit on it. We've raved about Rendon ever since we saw him break in with the Nationals a couple of years ago. Can he stay healthy is the big question. Sprained his medial collateral ligament in the left knee diving for a ball in spring training last year. Started the season on the DL. First game came in June. Played in 18 games, then went back to the disabled list with a left quad problem.
As you pointed out Monday, drafted by the Braves out of high school. I wish they'd been able to pull that off.
Ooh.
Keep him from going to Rice University.
AJ with a nice stop. 2 balls, no strikes. Hit a mile high to center, but Ender Inciarte has plenty of room. And Bud Norris pitches around a leadoff double as the Nationals fail to break through.
Nothing. Dusty Baker looking great, 66 years old. You would never know it, still in great shape. What is he doing over there with the Nats? Well, he's trying to change the culture, and as one player put it, chemistry beats strategy all day long. In his opinion, Dusty Baker changing that culture. One of the guys he's trying to change, Steven Strasburg. Spring training, he struck out 9 in 5 innings, came out frustrated and angry. Dusty Baker reminding Steven Strasburg that it's a long season, 162 games. Don't forget to smile and have some fun. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Paul. Yeah, he asked Steven Strasburg, is this guy ever happy?
Yeah, talking to Dusty today before the ball game, he came into a great situation and he knows it in terms of talent and what a great ball club. But they did need a change of culture in terms of attitude, coming to the park ready to to play and win, and having confidence in their ability to do that, Dusty can certainly accomplish that.
Three-time manager of the year is Dusty Baker, whose first year as a manager came in 1993 with the Giants. That's a very memorable season for Braves fans and for the Atlanta organization. Braves beat the Giants by 1 game in the West and won 104 games. Giants won 103 and didn't make the playoffs. There was no wild card back then. But you look at where Dusty goes, wherever Dusty goes, he wins. After the Giants stint, he went to the Cubs. 2003, they won 88 games, won the Central. And that was the infamous Bartman year. Otherwise, they would have gone to the World Series. Then he went to the Reds. And in 3 years, the Reds went from 74 wins to 91 wins.
That was the year that the Reds had a 2-0 lead over the Giants in the division series, went home and got swept 3 straight at home by the eventual world champions.
Swing and a miss by Bud Norris. Strasburg got him.
But you're talking about frustration, and for Steven Strasburg, some of that frustration shows up. And I want to let Paul Bird know that in this line of work, you can't get real frustrated either, Birdie. You know.
So what you're saying is there's going to be bad moments just like when I pitch, and I need to let it go.
Yeah, you do. You got to get over it.
It's live TV, buddy.
Oh, that made us laugh so hard.
There's mispronounced words. You lose your train of thought,
Hey,
and you just got to roll with it.
You got to fit right in with this group, buddy.
You know, Joe, you don't miss a thing.
I try not to, especially the stuff that makes me laugh.
Ciarte walked his first time up. Strasburg goes through the lineup a second time now, scoreless in the third. And it's popped into and out of Ramos's glove quickly, 0-2. One and 2 your count.
Might have been a setup pitch. Fastball up and in on an 0-2 count. Now come back with the changeup. Breaking ball instead. Ow. Today at the leadoff luncheon where all the players were there, meeting fans, players mingling with the fans. Also some panel discussions up on the stage. Chip hosted one of those with some of the veteran players. Don Sutton hosted one with some of the new players, including Ender Inciarte. And Ender revealed a real good sense of humor. He had the place cracking up a couple of times, but nothing funny about this.
No. No.
Look at Jeff Porter, smile on his face, because it didn't happen to him.
Back to the mound, and Strasburg makes the peg to first for the second out of the inning. And Eric Ibar bats. He wrapped into a double play his first time up. A couple of 4-3 finals in earlier today. Milwaukee beat the Giants, and Colorado beat Arizona. Heard the name Trevor Story yet? He's the young Colorado shortstop who hit another home run today. That young man has hit 4 homers in his first 3 big league games. In fact, his first 4 hits in the major leagues are home runs.
That's an awesome start. And for the virtual no-name Rockies to go into Arizona against the highly touted Diamondbacks and sweep them.
Yeah, Zach Greinke gave up a ton of runs in the opener. Shelby Miller got rocked yesterday. Ball flying out of Chase Field. And then today they win 4-3. What a great start for the Colorado Ball Club. Team nobody's given much of a chance in the West. They've got two good-looking players on the left side of their infield, and Nolan Arenado and now Trevor Story. Just a tick or two past 8 o'clock in Atlanta. Good ball game. Bud Norris, Steven Strasburg matching zeros to this point. And that's headed for the seats. Foul by Ibar. Still 1 ball, 2 strikes. Another off day tomorrow for the Braves. We'll join you again here on Friday night. The Cardinals will come to town for their lone visit to Atlanta. Matt Whistler will make his season debut against Jaime Garcia. That'll be a 7:35 first pitch. Friday night fireworks here at Turner Field. Our first fireworks extravaganza of the season. It's always fun, so hope you'll join us for what should be a great baseball weekend.
Little indecision there between the pitcher and catcher.
Good eye, full count. Freddie Freeman waits on deck in our scoreless game.
And that's why Ibar will probably get a pretty good pitch to hit here, rather than risk walking him and pitching to Freeman.
Lined into center. He did get a good pitch and he didn't miss it.
Fastball away, had a little too much of the plate, and right back where it came from. Good swing by Eric.
So the changeup got Freddie Freeman his first time up. Let's see how Strasburg tries to retire him here in the third. Mentioned Freddie's good numbers against Steven in his career. He has worn out the Nationals. 10 career homers against Washington pitching. And he had a home run cut. Came up empty. Strike one. A .338 average against that pitching staff. Pretty impressive.
Very.
Scherzer started the opener, struck out 7 in his first 7 innings of the year. Strasburg has 3 strikeouts so far tonight.
Showing Scherzer there, I think, is a good point, perhaps, to the evolution of Strasburg last year. Having a guy like Scherzer, who's been at the top of his game for the last 3 or 4 years, pitches similarly, throws hard, good command. What a good influence and what a good resource for Strasburg to go to if he's in a rut of some kind.
Scherzer twirled a couple of no-hitters last year for Washington. And now the 1-2 pitch for Freeman with Ibar leading at first. Another good swing.
He knows the success he had getting Freddie first in the first inning with that changeup. Got to figure he's going to go to it at some point. Especially as a hitter where you really have to look fastball here and then adjust.
Rolled to the right side. Espinosa is the man who makes the play. And that will retire the side. Ibar with a 2-out single. Bryce Harper leads off. The Washington fourth next. Attaway, Paul. Atlanta, 3 scoreless innings tonight. As we take a peek at tonight's Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, Bryce Harper had an historic MVP season last year.
The 4th youngest guy to win an MVP award to Vida Blue with the 1971 Oakland A's. Johnny Bench and Stan Musial. Of course, Bench and Musial are in the Hall of Fame. Bryce Harper off to a tremendous start in his career at a very early age.
And Bryce Harper raised some eyebrows earlier this season in spring training with an article that came out where he talked about how baseball needs to change with the times. The Generation XYZ kids, and wore this hat after the Nationals win in Game 1. He said, "Make baseball fun again."
Yeah, I thought he's trying to have some fun.
Yeah.
And he got ripped by one of the Tampa Bay pitchers, a young pitcher, who said, you know, why hasn't baseball been fun to him? I don't understand. He had a contrary opinion of baseball to Bryce Harper's recent appraisal.
As Bud Norris faces him for a second time, Harper flat out to left his first time up. 1 ball, no strikes. I think a lot of that's the carryover from last year in the playoffs. The so-called controversy over the Jose Bautista bat flip, for example, and whatever that unwritten rules of baseball are or are not. Harper was definitely on the side of, hey, show some emotion. He loves the way Jose Fernandez pitches. If he strikes somebody out, he likes it when Fernandez pumps his fist and acts like he enjoys that moment. Bryce Harper the same way if he hits the ball out of the ballpark.
Well, he is from a different generation, as are all of these young players that are getting to the big leagues right now. But I figure if you hit 42 home runs, you're having a lot of fun anyway.
And in about 2 years, when he's a free agent, just think about how much fun he's going to have.
Buy all the fun you want.
1 pitch is in for a strike. 2-2 the count.
It is rumored that there are already some teams stockpiling money for that free agent
to make a run
opportunity
at Bryce Harper.
Yep.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, that one skipped up there. I believe I read somewhere that Harper was on a local radio show in Washington, and someone asked him about the potential of him maybe getting a $400 million contract. And I think Bryce Harper was kind of rolling with it and laughing and said, well, don't sell me short, bro. You know, I mean, he will set all kinds of contract records because of his obvious immense talent as he guides a leadoff single through to start the 4th inning.
And his age.
Yeah.
Got the count to 3-2, got a fastball down the middle. And that's why Bud Norris has to pitch to the corners. But it's just a single. Such a quick bat.
So Harper's at first. Zimmerman's in the box. Zimmerman popped out to end the opening inning. Ryan, the first draft pick in the history of the Washington franchise. Started his career, as you know, at third base. Had all kinds of shoulder problems and throwing problems. As a result, they moved him across the diamond. And he looks terrific in the early going this year. That's headed toward the gap. Can anybody get there? And Cincinnati dives and robs his man. Harper all the way around to second, will be doubled up. What a great grab by Cincinnati.
He's getting a standing ovation from the bullpen. I didn't think there was any chance for him to get there. See where he's starting? What a long way to go to end up there. And not only that, but the presence of mind to throw back to first base, and he put this throw right on the money. That saved a run and turned it into a double play.
What an effort. 2 outs. And here's Murphy.
Went to the turf again, right on the bag.
Let's tell you how good a play that was. I mean, Bryce Harper's an outfielder. He had an excellent look at that ball off the bat. He had maybe scoring on his mind on that play. He was all the way around second base and was easily doubled up. Home crowd in Atlanta is going to serenade Ender Inciarte, who just made a tremendous play in the Washington 4th that helps keep this game scoreless. Time for our State Farm Insurance double play replay, and this one a beauty.
Inciarte laying out for the catch. And then a great throw.
Wonder if Ender wins a pair of khakis for winning the State Farm double play replay.
Could have, yeah.
There's a shot by Garcia. That's going to get down in front of Taylor. He's going to try for two. Throw to second. Is going to be in plenty of time. So Garcia 2 for 2, but got a little greedy, and Taylor guns him out to start the Braves fourth.
I'd have gotten thrown out too. Sorry. With the way Taylor had to go get that ball and backhanded it on the ground with his momentum more or less taking him away from the infield here, you figure he's flat-footed. But boy, oh boy, did he show you a good arm. Adonis tried to give the left arm and pull it away, but Murphy wasn't going to have any of that. I'd have gotten thrown out too, at least trying to get there.
Braves have out hit the Nationals 4-2. Neither team has broken through yet as Nick Markakis bats. Nick, as you know, a good opposite field hitter, tried to do that his first time, hit it hard but lined out to left. That was back in the second.
One of the things, one of the areas of Taylor's game, we talked about his power and speed. He also had 6 assists last year in limited playing time. Showed off a good arm there.
Good hitters count for Nick now. 3 balls and a strike. And Nick's aboard with a 1-out walk. Second pass issued by Strasburg tonight. And here's Oliveira. He hit one the other way his first time up. See if Hector can be quick again with Strasburg.
I'd like to see Strasburg try to make him flinch with a curveball and leave it out over the plate a little bit.
That almost hit him. 2 balls, no strikes. Kevin Seitzer, the Braves hitting coach, worked with Oliveira an awful lot this offseason and during spring training to try to get him out of that very severe bat rap that was in play for him in his brief time with the Braves last year. Three and 0.
Say if hitting coaches and pitching coaches got paid by the hour, they'd own the team.
Man. What did Kevin tell you about his routine with Oliveira this spring?
7:30 every morning. Said he was never late, was there every day. And that was before they went into their normal routine, which usually started around 9:30 with stretching.
And Strasburg missed with 4 straight, and he's walked 2 in a row. So the Braves have something afoot. Mike Maddox is on his way to the mound. Speaking of Kevin Seitzer, this is a big opening few days for the Braves hitting coach. Kevin is a proud new grandfather.
Hey.
His first granddaughter was born on Monday. Stella Celeste Graffio, Kevin's son Tyler, and daughter-in-law Kim. Proud new parents. So
great.
Congrats to Kevin and his family. So if these meetings on the mound seem quick, it's because they are mandated to be so. The pitching coaches are allowed 30 seconds for their mound visit. And there is a clock underneath the scoreboard counting those precious seconds down. So pitching coach gets out there, he better have his message finely tuned.
It starts as soon as he puts his foot on the warning track, too.
Oh, redeeming chance for A.J. Pierzynski here. Stepped in with 2 on, 1 out in the second and struck out. He's got 2 on, 1 out here in the fourth in a scoreless game. And he shoots one the other way. That's going to get down in front of Taylor. Here comes Markakis around third to score. Oliveira on his way to third. And A.J. is out at second base. The ball was bobbled. Pierzynski tried to take an extra base, but drives home the first run with a solid single to left.
Well, Michael Taylor booted this ball, but he bailed him out again. Good piece of hitting by A.J. First pitch fastball. Lines it to left center. And when Taylor booted it here trying to cut it off, A.J. thought he could take the extra base. But Taylor comes up throwing to second. And A.J. went in standing up. They tag him out. Big plays this inning for Taylor.
2 assists to second base, 1 to get Garcia, 1 to get Pierzynski, but not before Atlanta strikes first on the RBI hit. 1-0 Atlanta. Oliveira's at third with 2 outs, and again Jace Peterson the batter with Bud Norris waiting on deck.
First and third with 1 out would have been a lot better.
And back to the screen for Peterson. Strike 1 to the Braves second baseman. So 2 singles, 2 walks, 2 putouts at second base, and the game's first run. A lot of action here in the 4th inning against Steven Strasburg. And Peterson fouls that away. He's behind 0-2. Peterson is down on strikes, and that'll retire the side. 1 run, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 assists by Michael Taylor. AJ's RBI gives Atlanta a 1-run lead. Steven Strasburg. We head to the 5th inning. 1-0 Atlanta with my partner Joe Simpson, Paul Bird, Chip Carey with you at the ballpark. Freddie Gonzalez and Ron Culper were jawing just a bit in between innings.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about, but it was a pretty heated conversation on both sides.
Braves have their starting 9 out there, so it wasn't an ejection problem, I don't believe. He appears to be disappearing from the Atlanta bench. So we'll find out after the game on Braves Live when we head to the Braves locker room to hear from tonight's players about Game 2 of the season with the Nationals. Worth, Ramos, and Espinosa coming up, but Norris looking good in his Braves debut. He surrendered 2 hits. He got Worth to ground out his first time up.
Jason Worth, one of the few guys that swings the bat with 2 hands. Top hand rarely, if ever, comes off the bat.
That's off the plate. A ball and 2 strikes. Worth was a big part of that great Philadelphia run, and he spurned the Phillies, went to Washington in 2011, and really helped change the culture in that Nationals locker room.
A lot of people critical of the big deal they gave him also, but he put up some big numbers his first 2 or 3 years.
He had a 20 homer season, a 25 homer season. He's knocked in 82 runs twice as a National, and he can still hit the ball hard. High bar, nice pick, perfect throw to get Worth. One up, one down in the Nationals 5th. Fine play by Eric at short.
2 hard hit balls by Worth to shortstop. That one harder than the first, and a nice play by Eric. Flagged that down.
Wilson Ramos struck out his first time up. And that went into left, a clean single. First hit of the night for Ramos, 3rd hit of the series for the Nationals catcher. And Danny Espinosa hits. He started the Washington 3rd with a leadoff double. Steven Strasburg tried to bunt on the first pitch he saw from Bud Norris, was allowed to swing later in that sequence and tapped it right back to the mound. And the Braves ran down Espinosa between 2nd and 3rd base. Washington didn't score. It's a big play in the game to this point. As Espinosa digs in with 1 out.
Got a 2015 picture of Espinosa on the big screen that I think was when he was auditioning for Duck Dynasty.
Ernie Johnson used to say of a beard like that, you could taste your soup for a week. 1 ball, 1 strike. And there's his #1 fan in Atlanta.
Are our camera operators awesome or what? We say it, they find it.
Right. Two balls and a strike. Popped up. And right at the rail, Adonis at the last moment reached up and made the play. He almost gave up on that ball, it looked like.
Well, normally it would come back to him. That one, I think the wind was actually pushing it toward the dugout, and then he's right in the opening. Wasn't like he could even lean against the railing and reach over. There was a little danger there of falling right in the dugout. Good catch, good body control, big out. Good D tonight by Atlanta.
2 outs for Strasburg. Ramos, the man at first. 1-0 Braves lead. 5 hits to 3. Atlanta leads tonight. And ball 1 outside. At this point, Norris has been very economical, just over 60 pitches as he works into the 5th. He's been sitting 92, 93 most of the night.
He's throwing harder than I expected to see him throw. He even had that one waste pitch at 94 upstairs.
At the knees to Strasburg. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That'll end the inning. But Norris has his 3rd strikeout. He leads by a run, and he'll bat first after a break. Well, a Turner Field countdown continues tonight. That's the big dog, Vince Dooley, former head football coach at the University of Georgia. 80, a very special year around these parts. Georgia won the National Football Championship that season. Boy, Vince looks great, doesn't he? Always good to have Vince Dooley and Georgia Bulldogs out at Turner Field on a perfect night for baseball tonight. Opening weekend continues this weekend. Hope you join us. Big crowds expected for the lone visit by the St. Louis Cardinals this spring. All fans in attendance on Friday and Saturday get a 2016 magnetic schedule, compliments of Georgia Power. Get the excitement of opening weekend with your Atlanta Braves. Tickets available online at Braves.com or by phone 800-745-3000.
Hey, we got a New partner on Saturday, huh?
That's right. Tim Hudson will be joining us for some select games this year. So, Huddy, can't wait to see you make your broadcasting debut on Saturday.
And it will be great to have him back at Turner Field. I've already given him a heads up that there is a little bit of hazing that goes on for rookies in the booth.
I think he'll love that. That'll be right up Tim's alley if memory serves. As Bud Norris hits one to Rendon on the first pitch. There's out number one. And before we go back to the top of the order, let's take an Xfinity game break. Thanks, Kelsey. You're right. Fernandez was 17-0 at Marlins Park entering that game with the Tigers today. But I think the Braves kind of softened him up. Remember late last year when Atlanta was in Miami, they touched Fernandez for 4 or 5 runs in a ball game. Didn't lose it. But the Tigers got it done yesterday, got it done again today.
And not only that, but not only is Saltalamacchia a former Brave, he's a former Marlin just last year, and they released him, so a little payback for him today.
That's fouled back to the screen by Ender Inciarte, who's already made one of the best catches we've seen any Brave make. It came in the top of the 4th. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 1-0 Atlanta, 5th inning. Strasburg and Norris up the middle. Murphy to his right, slides 360 from a knee and couldn't get anything on the throw. Infield hit for Inciarte, his first of the night.
Once he fielded this on the backhand, he turned the wrong way. When you turn that way against your arm, you're not going to be able to get anything on the throw. The only chance he had, and I don't think it was much of one, was to turn back the other way, pivot the other way so that he could get something on the throw. Didn't happen.
So let's see if the Braves can manufacture something with 1 out. Ibar's up there. He's singled and he's bounced into a double play. Braves are pecking away against Strasburg tonight. 6 hits now for the Braves.
Yeah, and again, last inning, if it weren't for his center fielder saving his bacon with a couple of throws, that could have been a big inning.
2 assists by that man, Michael Taylor. In the lineup for an injured Ben Revere, who was hurt here Monday. Last year, Inciarte stole 21 bases for Arizona, was caught 10 times.
Eric Ibar showed you the ability on that 3-2 pitch his last time up to turn a fastball around, hit it back up through the middle solidly. Well, the fact that he can hit a good fastball helps in this situation where you expect to see more fastballs with a runner on first ahead of you.
Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. This is a Braves club that doesn't have a lot of power. They're not going to hit 180, 190 home runs this year. They hit 100 as a team last year. Inciarte and Ibar give him a little more speed at the top of the order. Let's see how much Freddie Gonzalez utilizes that this year. Slap toward left, but right at Worth, who comes in a step or 2. And a long throw back to first, and Inciarte just back ahead. 2 outs for Freddie Freeman.
See if Freddie jumps on a pitch earlier in the count. He's been behind tonight, having to hit whatever he's delivered by Strasburg, having to hit defensively against him. Maybe this will be different.
He was aggressive early in the count, didn't get it.
Well, again, 95 up there. That is tough to get on top of.
You hear broadcasters say all the time, it looks like a beach ball. But does it?
See it out of his hand real well, close to your eye level. It's pretty straight, but too hard to get the barrel of the bat up on top of it.
Runner goes. Freeman fouls it back. 0-2. Washington has the top of its order lurking in the 6th. Atlanta leads on an A.J. Pierzynski RBI hit in the 4th. Sharply hit, but pulled foul.
Well, Strasburg got away with a big mistake. 0-2 there. Bell tie that time.
Again, the runner goes. The pitch a ball, the throw to second, a strike, and that will retire the side. Inciarte gunned down by Ramos. 1-0 Atlanta. 1, 2, and 3 coming up for Washington.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Atlanta Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves. Baseball is sponsored by Delta Airlines, your local Ford dealer, and Xfinity. X1 from Xfinity will change the way you experience sports.
Well, as we say goodbye to Turner Field after this 2016 season, we always love to say hello to the great Walter Banks, the gentleman on the right. He's been a fixture in Atlanta since the old days across the street at Atlanta Stadium, a Braves usher since 1966. And when you want to talk about wonderful people and one of the best ambassadors for Braves baseball, that's your man.
If somebody comes up with an Usher Hall of Fame,
yeah,
he'll be in the first class of inductees. We all love Walter.
I don't think I've ever seen that man with a frown.
No, anything other than that big smile.
And if you have the good fortune of interacting with Walter, ask him a number. Say, Walter, 17, and he will have some amazing baseball stat for you that'll just blow your mind. High hopper by Michael Taylor. Braves had a shift on, and he's out number 1. Taylor's 0 for 3 tonight. Jace Peterson handled on the third base side of second base. Braves are shifting a little more in the early days of this season, aren't they?
They are indeed. I think we'll continue to see more of that as the season goes along. More use of some of the tendencies of these hitters based on some of the analytics that are available to managers and coaches now.
One out for Rendon, who's walked and flied out. Bryce Harper next. 1-0. Braves have the lead. And some of that analytical information is much more readily available to the coaching staff now. Baseball taking another giant leap forward in technology. Gone are the days where some teams have the big loose leaf notebooks filled with the charts and such. Tablet devices have all that information stored. To the left side, Ibar, second hop, throws low to first, and Freeman dug it out. Big play at first for Freeman.
As good as the defense has been tonight, there have been a couple of suspect throws, and this is one of them. It was sharply hit. Nice crow hop, getting a little momentum going, and then slowed his arm action down. Fire it over there. The guy's 6'5". He can handle just about anything, but he put a little pressure on Freddie to make a play like that.
And this is how you want to face Bryce Harper in a tight game. Base is empty. 2 outs. Harper 1 for 2. A single last time up.
Really low pitch count for Bud Norris tonight at only 73 pitches in the 6th inning. But I'm sure Roger and Freddie will be keeping a close eye on him here over this at bat and anything into the 7th inning. He's been sharp.
Harper skies one towards center. Inciarte on the run. Got there. Another fine catch by the Braves center fielder.
That was a nice recovery. He was cutting over toward the gap, realized it was hit a little harder than he thought, had to go back on it, still hold it in.
8-pitch inning for Norris, who has a 1-0 lead. recall, Ender Inciarte was thrown out trying to steal second base. That gives Freddie Freeman a new set of strikes and another chance to face Steven Strasburg in a 1-0 Atlanta game. Freeman, Garcia, and Markakis. Washington with another severe shift. And Freddie tries to golf it over Zimmerman, who makes a leaping catch in the outfield grass. Nice play for the first out.
I believe Zimmerman's 6'5", Freddie Freeman's size. So hard to lob one over his head.
Well, here's the man that Strasburg hasn't been able to solve yet tonight. Adonis Garcia's 2 for 2 against him, and 4 for 5 head-to-head in his career. And a little calling card, perhaps. 1 ball, no strikes. Cardinals are losing again tonight. Pittsburgh's beating them 4-0.
Juan Nicasio throwing a 1-hit shutout so far, I believe.
You like the Pirates, don't you?
I like the Pirates a lot. With all the talk about the Cubs and naturally the Cardinals, and rightfully so on the Cubs with the improvements they've made in their team, I'm ready to pick the Pirates.
98 games won last year, and all they could settle for was the 1-game shootout.
And they had the best bullpen in the National League last year. Pretty much the same guys back. Just a matter of how their number 3, 4, and 5 starters do for them.
Well, they've done this without their number 1, Garrett Cole. Hasn't pitched yet. Be ready to go later this weekend. So it's 4-0 Pittsburgh in the 6th. We'll say St. Louis here Friday night.
Braves will see Garcia, Martinez, and Adam Wainwright in that order.
High fly to right. Harper on the run. Good jump and a good running catch. There's the second out in the Atlanta 6th.
More good contact from Adonis.
Well, here's the only man to touch the plate tonight. That's Nick Markakis. Strasburg walked him in the 4th. After Olivero walked, A.J. Pierzynski singled to left. Markakis scored, and that's the lone run in the ball game tonight.
I know A.J. was upset with himself on that play for running into an out at second base, the second out of the inning. But when Taylor booted it, normally as an outfielder, knowing that 1 run is scored and there's another guy going to third, the guy you're more concerned about is that runner that might be the second run. So you're trying to get the ball in to the cutoff man, the shortstop or whatever. And I'm sure A.J. never thought for a second that Taylor would throw back to second, which, if you think about it, was throwing to the wrong base, and it worked out.
So 2 assists for Taylor tonight. Again, subbing for Ben Revere, who's out for an undetermined time with that rib cage problem. 1 ball, 2 strikes for Markakis. 2 outs, bases empty for the Braves. Right off the handle. And Murphy at second will throw out Markakis, and Strasburg works a perfect 6th. Garcia, a couple of hits in 3 tries, and he's the subject of tonight's Coors Light Cold Hard Fact. You look at his numbers penciled out over a 162 game schedule. Partner, I think you'd take that from the hot corner, wouldn't you?
You know it. You know it. Those are really good numbers. And of course, hit a home run yesterday. His last 20 games, 4 homers, 16 RBIs, a .630 slugging percentage, and a .352 average dating back to last season. For a guy the Braves got off the so-called scrap heap from the Yankees.
Zimmerman, first pitch, cracks one to right. Markakis will play that on a hop. And Ryan Zimmerman represents the tying run, leading off the 7th inning with a clean hit.
And I think that'll probably get the Braves bullpen busy right away, just in case. Slider that stayed on the inside part, he just fought it off. But again, we talked about at the beginning of the game, he's one of the Ford keys. Zimmerman's had a ton of success against Bud Norris, and he just plumped that one in there.
And Roger McDowell is on the phone. See who gets up for the Braves with Murphy up. He takes a strike. Murphy, then Worth, then Ramos. Murphy's hit the ball on the ground twice. Once more would be nice. As Bud hits the inside corner. You called it, Joe. In and out, up and down for Bud Norris tonight. He's hit a lot of corners.
Walked the second batter of the ball game, but really hasn't come close to walking one since.
Murphy hits it high in the air to right, but playable for Markakis. Wind is pushing that towards center field, and Nick hauls it in for the first out. The wind has picked up, and if you look at the weather radar all around the Atlanta area, it is fixing to rain somewhere close soon.
You know, and people in the South understand when you say fixing.
Yeah, and so the real question is, if your cows are laying down, please let us know where so we can track the thunder and lightning. 1 on, 1 out. Here's Worth.
He's had 2 good swings tonight, both hard hit and right at Ibar.
Check swing roller. Freeman's got it. That's an easy play, but a productive out for Worth. It gets Zimmerman to second, but with 2 outs. And Wilson Ramos is coming up. Won't be long till we see these Nationals again. Braves play them a lot the first week plus of the season. In fact, 6 of Atlanta's first 9 games are against the Washington club. Part of a very, very tough schedule in the first 5-6 weeks of the season. Braves owe these guys a little payback. They've lost 22 of the last 31 games head to head with Washington, but are winning tonight 1-0.
Braves have a shift on for Ramos on the left side. Look how close Garcia and Ibar are, with Garcia guarding the line. Plenty of room up the middle. Got a switch hitter on deck, a guy who actually has just become pretty much a left-handed hitter, but a former switch hitter in Espinosa. And Braves have O'Flaherty in the bullpen if he comes to the plate, but Ramos would represent the go-ahead run. I don't believe they're trying to pitch around him. We'll see.
Wind picking up, blowing toward left with a 2-0 count for Ramos. Let's split the plate. Ground ball left side. Ibar's got it. 360 spin. Catcher running. Throw off target. Runner coming home. Throw eludes Brzezinski. Game tied. Ramos on his way to second. That was an odd sequence. Just before the pitch was made, AJ Brzezinski raised his right hand as if he wanted to call time. Didn't get timeout called. And now Washington's tied it up here in the 7th. Watch AJ.
Didn't get it. Boy, was that costly. You know, he knows that it's a catcher running, and Ramos wasn't running that hard, but the throw's off the mark. Freddie's throw appeared to be a good throw, and AJ just missed it. He was trying to get the tag on too soon. It goes right off his glove. Now, if he catches the ball, they tag him out because Zimmerman never got to the plate. What a horrible turn of events there for Bud Norris. Again, the Braves defense that let them down Monday bites them here in the 7th inning tonight.
And remember, time is granted by the umpire. You don't get it automatically. And as AJ Brzezinski was signaling time, Norris was already into his windup. So the Nationals have tied it up. Ramos takes second on the throw by Freeman that got to the backstop. Atlanta will walk Espinosa intentionally, and now Strasburg with new life will bat for Washington with a chance to help himself with 2 out. Or will he? Nope. Strasburg's going to be taken down, it appears. And that's Matt Den Decker, who was just called up by the Nationals when Ben Revere was placed on the DL. So Strasburg goes 6 innings, allows 1 run, 6 hits, walked 3, and struck out 4 tonight.
Let's see if this pinch hitter that was sent up was in an effort to get Freddie Gonzalez to go to his bullpen and bring in a lefty so that Dusty could go to a right-hander. Does not appear that it was a cat and mouse game there between the managers. He'll leave Norris in to pitch to him.
Den Decker came from the Mets for Jerry Blevins late in spring training last year. He and Michael Taylor are actually high school teammates at Westminster Academy in Fort Lauderdale. Decker career marks and homers, RBIs and average last year. Had a homer and 2 RBIs as a pinch hitter in 18 tries last season. And taken low, 1 ball, 1 strike. Wasn't Matt supposed to be a big time prospect with the Mets?
Absolutely he was. He and Neuenhuis were supposed to be 2 of their outfielders for a long time.
Catcher running at second, Espinosa at first in a tie game at 1. And that missed low.
Outfield is really shortened up for Den Decker too. If there is a base hit, they want a chance to throw out Ramos at the plate.
Ibar bird dogs him at short. Short lead by Ramos. And a fly ball well hit right. That short outfield's going to cost Atlanta here. The ball off the base of the fence. Ramos scores. Here comes Espinosa around third. He's going to score without a throw. And Washington is off the deck with 3 runs in the 7th inning, all with 2 outs, as Den Decker with a clutch pinch hit double brings home 2.
What a job by a guy who wasn't even with the club this morning, but called up when Ben Revere was placed on the disabled list, and he hits it off the base of the wall. But all of this after that crazy sequence of events that started when A.J. Brzezinski was trying to call time and didn't get it.
So Washington now leads 3-1. Michael Taylor will try to add to that advantage.
Outside.
And that's outside, ball one. In the Atlanta 7th, pitcher's spot is due up 4th. Freddie would love Norris to finish off the 7th right here with Taylor.
Outside, 2 out.
What a real shame for Bud Norris the way he's pitched tonight. Two huge plays at the plate in the first 2 games. One that cost the Braves the lead in the 9th inning on Monday, and one that cost them the lead here tonight that would have ended the inning.
Well, we said it Monday. There is very little margin for error with this Braves pitching staff and this offense. If you do not catch the ball consistently, you will pay a very heavy price. It's happened tonight. As Taylor awaits and takes low, 3 balls and a strike.
And that's not to say that every error leads to runs. You know, sometimes you escape and they don't add up to anything. But in close ball games, especially in this case a 1-run ball game late against a very good ball club, you give them an extra out, chances are you're going to pay.
Taylor didn't get it. He's a candidate for a strikeout. Full count pitch coming up. Dusty Baker pushed the right button here with Den Decker doubling home 2. 3 runs across in the 7th. Full count coming for Taylor. And he struck out at the knees. He was a step or 2 toward first base. Washington picks up 3 runs, 2 hits, make that 3 hits, and 1 man left. Time to stretch. April in the ATL continues at Turner Field tonight. 30 games in 30 days. 3-1 is your score. Washington just scored 3 times in the top of the 7th inning. Time for our Bays Gaze. Kent Bazemore, the Atlanta Hawks. That's the kind of look I get from Joe when it's time to pick up the dinner check. Good to see Kent here at the ballpark tonight. And he's standing by with Paul Bird. Paul.
Well, guys, I'm sitting here with the Bays gaze, Kent Bazemore. And I need you, man. I need you. This guy is just as popular for the Bays gaze as he is for his great play, which features a little bit of everything, man. You can rebound, you can shoot, you can steal. Career steals leader, Old Dominion. Congratulations on the Hawks making the playoffs. You guys fired up?
Yeah, it's it's been an up and down season for us, but great group of guys in the locker room. Great coaching staff, front office management. Everything about the Hawks organization is great, and we persevered throughout everything, stayed resilient, and got ourselves another playoff berth.
That's great stuff. And I got to know the Bays gaze, because I photobombed this guy earlier. You were impressed? Where did that come from?
It's all original, a little creativity. Anytime, someone comes up with something that's original and they run with it, they stick by it, it's always a great thing. And the Bays gaze is, something that is creepy, and I just came up with it. And, the people of Atlanta ran with it.
That's good stuff. And guys, if you don't know this guy's an athlete, an avid golfer, and took some BP underneath the cage earlier. I got to know, is it tougher to hit a golf ball or a baseball?
Oh, it's tough. It's a very good comparison. The first time I went through BP, I was swinging with my golf swing kind of below at the bottom of the zone, but kind of figured out I need to swing through the zone a little bit more. Went 0 for 6 the first time, 5 or 6 the second time. So
you made an adjustment?
Yeah, I made a slight adjustment. That's what the game's about, adjustment.
Great. This guy's already got baseball down. It is a game of adjustments. That was not a feed. He came up with that himself. And then April in the ATL, Chep, you said it earlier, 30 games in 30 days from both the Braves and the Hawks. I'll tell you what, you got some sports fans in this town, and it is going to be an incredible April. Thank you so much for your time, man, and good luck.
Thanks for having me. Go Hawks and go Braves.
All right, Paul, thank you very much. Thanks to Kent Bazemore. Hawks face Toronto tomorrow night here in Atlanta. And you want to tune in here to Fox Sports South. Hawks are playing great right now. They've won 15 of their last 20 games. And the season series is 3-2 in favor of Atlanta, I believe.
That's the way you want to be playing going into the postseason, isn't it?
Yeah,
your best
exactly.
basketball.
Hot at the right time.
You bet.
And speaking of heat, here's Felipe Rivero. We saw him on Monday. This guy can really bring it after Sean Kelly faced one man and got Oliveira to fly out.
And this guy did give up a run. He was in line to take the loss on Monday thanks to a bases loaded walk issued by Kelly that followed him. He worked 2/3 of an inning, a hit and 2 walks and a strikeout, but he can rush it up there in the mid to upper 90s.
And he's on to face the 2 lefty bats in the bottom of the batting order for Atlanta. That's A.J. Brzezinski and Jace Peterson. A.J. has the lone Atlanta RBI tonight. That was back in the 4th. Again, a big shift on for Brzezinski. He's now 10 hits away from 2,000 as a catcher. Next on the list is Johnny Bench with 2,048. AJ has 1,990. About AJ's career, you mentioned this on Monday, the names that he could pass: Johnny Bench, Gary Carter, Mike Piazza, Yogi Berra.
And that's not with like an exceptional year. That's just, 50 hits or so.
Yeah. Inside corner strike. AJ not sure about that one. We have yet to see Tyler Flowers, who was signed as a free agent by the Braves just before Christmas. As this ball's hit the other way, Rendon nearly fell over but made the play. 2 outs. Freddie Gonzalez mentioned to Mark Bowman on MLB.com that Flowers tentatively is penciled to catch 2 of those games against the Cardinals. And The left-hander Garcia pitching on Friday. One would think Tyler would make his Braves debut in the first game of that St. Louis series. So Jace Peterson will be taken down. Gordon Beckham will bat. Base is empty, 2 outs. Gordon struck out twice on Monday. And a costly throwing error as well.
Rivero gives you a couple of different looks, different leg kick, slide step, drops down a little bit, mixes it up.
Rivero came out of the Tampa Bay organization, came to Washington with Jose Lobaton for Nathan Carnes.
He may be the throw-in on that deal that turns out to be the star.
Pop fly foul. According to the ever entertaining Nationals media guide, during his 6-year pro career, he has successfully combined power and precision. Just in case you wanted to know about the 24-year-old left-hander. And his catcher is especially adept at receiving the baseball, which is very, very important. 2-2. Strike 3 called, inning over. Kelly and Rivero impress in relief of Steven Strasburg. And the Braves trail by 2 heading to the 8th.
Braves Baseball is sponsored by the Works Turbine Blower, the fastest way to clean up your yard. It's work season.
Chipper Jones rescues Freddie Freeman ATV bobblehead. Chris Stapleton in concert, the 1991 NLCS replica ring giveaway. These are just a few of the great giveaways and events planned this year. Part of our season-long celebration of the final year at Turner Field. Check a full calendar of Braves events at braves.com/promotions and get your tickets today. And that is one dynamic duo of bobbleheaddom.
I love it.
Skip and Pete bobblehead. And guess what, folks?
Here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25,000 Braves fans here at Turner Field. And here comes the love of about 25
that, of course, the unmistakable voice of a man we miss dearly here, the Professor Pete Van Wieren.
Got a great call on there from your dad as well. So it's not just a bobblehead, it's an audio bobblehead, and a wonderful tribute.
And they look, I mean, they look like
good
Dad and
likenesses.
Pete, right? Yeah. So you won't want to miss that as we take a look at Alexi Ogando, who's making his Braves debut. Looked like he had a pretty good year out of that Boston bullpen last season.
It's a career high in games at 64, and it was the first time he had pitched a season without being on the DL since 2011.
That was when he was a starting pitcher with the Rangers. Played 29 games as a starter, won 13. And then he's battled injuries since. Right groin strain, right bicep tendonitis, right shoulder inflammation, right elbow inflammation. This one's popped up a mile high over the Braves on deck circle and into the seats foul. It's a full count for Rendon. Ogando was originally signed as an international free agent by the A's way back in 2002. He was an outfielder and then was converted to a pitcher when he was selected by Texas in the Rule 5 draft. And here he is pitching out of the bullpen in Atlanta, and he gets Rendon to fly out for the first down of the inning. Crowd announced tonight 18,531. And 18,417 of them are now booing Bryce Harper. He was 1 for 3 in the game. That's a little low. 2-0.
We talked a lot about his swing last year and how unique it is that he has such a load. He when he's pivots back, shifts his weight back, and then starts forward, it looks like he's going to get way out on his front foot and be susceptible to off-speed pitches. But if you throw him an off-speed pitch, anything down, he still just rakes it, especially down and in. But every swing is an effort to tear the cover off the baseball.
2 balls, 1 strike. And he hits this one a ton to right down the line. But playable for Markakis. The wind will keep that in fair territory. And Harper is the second out. I don't think Bryce is going up there just wailing away without an idea at the plate. That's what makes him so dangerous, I think. This man walked 124 times last year after doing all that damage of 42 homers and 99 RBIs.
What was his on-base percentage? Does it have it there?
.460.
Goodness.
So Harper is the second out. And Zimmerman digs in. He scored the game-tying run in the 7th. Recap things for you after our game on Braves Live. We'll check in with Freddie Gonzalez. We'll hear from tonight's Braves performers with Braves Live presented by Xfinity after Game 2 tonight with the Nationals. Slider, Zimmerman didn't get it, even count. Washington will head home. They will face the Marlins for their home opener. And the Braves will call. After the series in Washington, which is 4 games, the Braves will head to Miami for a weekend set with the Fish.
Braves have a shift on again for Zimmerman, much like they had Monday when he hit a ground ball right into it and right to Gordon Beckham, but couldn't make the play. He reached second.
Beckham's in the game and dives and can't make the play. He stays in for Jace Peterson. Zimmerman hits it into the shift, but is rewarded with an infield hit. One presumes. And he's aboard with 2 out. It is a hit.
When he reached in the 10th inning on Monday, he wound up scoring the winning run. Tougher play there certainly for Gordon. But Norris pitched great tonight. Just great. It's just crime what happened on that one ground ball in the 7th inning. It could have gotten him out of the inning. Instead, they wound up with 3 runs.
You say in a baseball game, might see 200 pitches thrown by each club. One play had nothing to do with the pitch. Timeout that you don't get. How different might this game be at this point? AJ tried to call timeout. Norris was in the middle of his delivery, and Ramos hit that infield single. And on the throw to first, Zimmerman came charging home. Freeman's throw was just missed by AJ Pierzynski, who had to reach for it and bring it back.
Yeah, they charged Freddie with that error, and I thought that was misplaced. Thought it should have been on AJ in his effort to try to get the tag down before he caught the ball.
That tied the game, and then Matt Den Decker pinch hit for Steven Strasburg and doubled home, runs 2 and 3 for Washington. 1-1 for Murphy. Takes low, 2 balls and a strike. Hey, are the Padres ever going to score a run?
How are they doing tonight?
Well, it is the first.
Oh,
and it's 4-0 LA.
Oh goodness.
Padres have not scored a run in their first 2 games, have a grand total of 6 hits. Their matchup with LA. It's hit foul on the right side.
Clayton Kershaw. Okay, I understand. But Scott Kazmir last night was the guy that turned the trick on him.
Well, tonight it's Kenta Maeda, the Japanese import who came over from Hiroshima, facing Andrew Kashner. Phillies are winning in Cincinnati 2-1 in the 9th, but the Reds have them loaded with 1 out. Aaron Nola started that game for the Phillies. 2-2 to Murphy. Is cut on. Fly ball. Oliveira in left near the wall. Pushes that out of reach. Still 2-2. Pirates 5-1 over the Cardinals. Bottom 7. Mariners playing good ball. Robbie Cano off to a flying start for Seattle. He had a big day today. They beat Texas again 9-5. Tampa Bay beat Toronto 5-3. Josh Donaldson left the game with a leg injury. The reigning MVP in the American League. Yankees all over Houston 12-6 in frigid weather in New York tonight as Murphy's down on strikes. Ogando gives up a hit and nothing else in the top of the 8th. It's late. Braves have 6 outs left. They're down 2.
Atlanta Braves baseball is sponsored by your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places. The Georgia Lottery and Synovus, the bank of here.
Bud Norris, as I said, deserved a better fate so far tonight because he pitched great until that one play in the 7th inning that cost him. Steven Strasburg was not outstanding, and yet he only gave up 1 run by his standards. He's still pitching great baseball, kind of a continuation from the end of his season last year. Ramos and Dendecker, the hitting heroes so far for the Nats. Dendecker just called up today, the big 2-run pinch hit double.
Jeff Francoeur will pinch hit for Ogando in the 8th inning. Jeff walked on Monday and scored a run and takes a strike. Francoeur, Inciarte, Ibar, then Freeman.
Good cut there. Just a little tardy.
And tardy again at 95 miles an hour. Rivero has his 2nd strikeout. And we go back to the top and Inciarte. Enders 1 for 2 with a walk. He's made a great catch tonight. Robbed Ryan Zimmerman of a base hit and doubled up Bryce Harper back in the 4th inning. Already the best catch of the young season and one of the best we've seen here in a long time.
This kid's throwing a lot more strikes tonight, Chip. He might have had a few nerves Monday when he walked a couple of guys and eventually gave up a run, but he's in the zone tonight.
His big league firsts came against the Braves. First major league win June 24th. And his first major league save October 1st against the Braves. And in fastball velocity among left-handed relievers, he's 3rd. Aroldis Chapman's 1st, Zach Britton's 2nd. One ball, 2 strikes for Ender Inciarte. Bases are empty for the Braves.
So far, Inciarte showing you a willingness to hang in there against a tough lefty.
Braves need a base runner and someone to pop one to tie this thing up. Decker, the hitting hero for the Nationals, looks on as Rivero gets set. And a good battle for Ender Inciarte here.
Spoiled a good pitch.
Full count.
He even changed his stride a little bit there, Chip. He stepped a little more toward the first baseline. Rivero I'm talking about, and threw across his body trying to get Inciarte to flinch, and he didn't.
Broken bat roller out to 2nd. Murphy fires to 1st. 2 men out. Time for our Synovus Greatness Made Here feature. As Eric Ibar comes to the plate.
10 years in the big leagues with the Angels before coming over to Atlanta in the offseason. Gold Glove winner, All-Star, and tons of doubles over each of the last 5 seasons.
30 or more for Ibar. Would love to reach any way he can to give Freeman a chance. And hit a strike. You can see why some in the Washington camp think this guy might be a closer of the future, especially the way our division stacks up. All the tough left-hand hitters.
If he keeps throwing strikes like this, you understand that.
In the air to center. Taylor got an excellent jump, and Rivero works a perfect 8th. He faced 5 men, retired them all, and we go to inning number 9. Good news, you can now stream games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in and watch the live stream. Now you can take the Braves wherever you go. Top of the 9th inning. It's 3-1 Washington. Braves fans, we invite you to become an A-list member today and get multiple ticket options and exclusive benefits customized for your unique needs. Call now to secure the best seats for the final year here at Turner Field and the first season at SunTrust Park. Don't miss out on being an A-list member today. Go to Braves.com or call 404-577-9100.
Here's a guy I'm anxious to see pitch. John Gant, who made the club. He's done about 3, 4, 5 good outings in spring training. He did pitch a lot. Braves got him from the Mets in the deal that sent Uribe and Kelly Johnson to New York, and when it was done, a lot of people wrote that, well, the Braves got a couple lower level prospects for the Mets. Well, this guy in his last 13 starts last year, A-ball with the Mets, Double-A with the Braves, he went 6-0 with a sub-2 ERA, and he brought it right into spring training. He's got a funky delivery with his leg kick. He does it twice, and he's got a great split finger pitch that he calls the Vulcan.
So what is that double clutch, I guess I'll call it? What does that double clutch from a pitcher do to you as a hitter?
Well, if you're seeing it for the first time, it may throw off your timing a little bit.
Line to second. There's the first out. Worth. Lines out to Gordon Beckham.
But when the guy does it the same way every time, it's like any other delivery. You just start timing it the best you can. It's not a balk because he does it the same way every time. This split finger pitch is not one between his index and middle finger. It's between his middle finger and ring finger. Hence the Vulcan. Looks like he's got it loaded up. Nope.
Wilson Ramos bats and rolls foul. Strike one.
Now with that fiddling around trying to get that grip, that's not the easiest grip in the world to get, and there was some concern in spring training that he was tipping his pitches, that opponents could see him in the glove working it. So one of the things he needs to do is flare that glove out so that opponents can't see any move he's making with the baseball in the glove. Greg Maddox worried about that all the time. That's why you saw him all the time with his glove wide open, with his thumb and middle finger as far apart as he could, so that nobody could pick up anything he might do with his grip. There it is. And I'm excited for a guy like this who may not have been considered a top prospect in the Mets organization. There's the grip, but who had great success last year in Double-A after the Braves picked him up under the tutelage of Denny Llewellyn, the pitching coach there, and came to camp and made the club.
And had Ramos off stride on that delivery. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's the kind of deal you like. You trade away a guy like Kelly Johnson, you get Gant back, then you bring Kelly Johnson back. You almost get a pitcher for free out of that deal.
Rob Whalen was the other pitcher that came in that deal.
Again, Ramos reaching at a 79-mile-an-hour pitch and fouled it away.
Major League debut, retired his first batter. And trying to get rid of Ramos with that Vulcan.
Line foul. From 79 to 94. That's why Ramos was so late. That'll work.
A lot of fans will remember Rob Nen, closer for the Marlins, the Giants, and some other clubs. He had a little toe tap as he was striding. It wasn't as prevalent as what Gant is doing, but he had a stutter step in his delivery.
And Ramos is down on strikes. He thought he tipped the baseball, but didn't. So Gant has his first strikeout, and that ball will head to the trophy case. 2 up, 2 down. First big league strikeout for Mr. Gant. Could you say, Joe, he hit the Spock with that Vulcan?
Yeah, excellent. Chip, you are like mid-season form.
Just wondered. Here's Espinosa.
That woke Dave Poole up.
And a strike. Ball, I should say, to Espinosa. Want to know your count. And a shot to center. So Espinosa with a 2-out hit. Third time he's been on base tonight. He's doubled, singled, and has walked intentionally and scored the 3rd Washington run. This is Clint Robinson. We've seen him before. Ten homers for Robinson last year. Robinson came to Washington on a minor league deal last year. Made the club. Hit .272 for them with those 10 home runs. 2010 won the Texas League Triple Crown. Was originally a Kansas City Royals farmhand. Spent a little time with the Dodgers in 2014. Now at 31 years old on the opening day roster for the second year in a row for Washington. Clint's out of Northview High School in Dothan, where he started at Troy University. A fly ball to right. And John Gant in the books with a successful first big league inning. He allowed a hit, picked up his first strikeout. Bottom of the ninth for Atlanta. Last chance in the heart of the orders coming up. Game plan's a great way to see your Atlanta Braves during this historic final season at Turner Field. Save off the regular game price and custom build your 4-game plan, or select a plan like the bobblehead, Friday night fireworks, or Sunday Kids Day plans today by visiting braves.com/4game. 18,000 plus tonight, hoping Jonathan Papelbon will blow a save in the 9th inning. It's not going to be an easy frame for him, at least as far as the lineup card's concerned. You've got Freeman, Garcia, and Markakis, the middle of the order, coming up against Papelbon, who was very efficient and effective here on Monday.
Yeah, it wasn't like he blew anybody away. Braves had some good at-bats against him. He was able to record a strikeout against Inciarte, but everybody went up there hacking at him.
Freeman 2 for 8 against Papelbon lifetime. Braves need a man to reach. And a long ball would then tie it. And a strike. Braves first baseman.
This is one of those situations where I wouldn't mind seeing Freddie put down a bunt with the big shift on. You need a base runner to have a chance to tie. Even if he hits a homer, you're still down a run.
Papelbon has had some success in this ballpark, and he's had some enormous meltdowns in this ballpark. Remember Chipper Jones' home run against him a couple of years ago to win a game? Braves would love to do that tonight and even up the series. Freddie didn't get it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Freddie's down on strikes for a second time tonight. Papelbon gets the first in the 9th. 1 man down.
Did it with an off-speed pitch too.
Well, it was fortunate for him to leave that changeup right in the middle of the plate, and Freddie went right through it.
Adonis Garcia had good luck against Steven Strasburg. A couple of hard hit singles.
Dusty Baker said today if there's an area of concern for his ball club, it's his bullpen. Not necessarily at the end, but somewhere between the bridge between the starters and the end of the game.
1 ball, no strikes. Fly ball headed for the gap in right center. Taylor on the runs, not going to get there. 3-hit night for Garcia, and that will bring the tying run to the plate with 1 out.
Again, it looked like he was trying to turn that ball over a little bit. Nice piece of hitting by Adonis to not try to do too much with it.
Nick Markakis has seen Papelbon a lot. He's 6 for 22 against him. That's a .273 average. Tonight 0 for 2, but has scored the Braves run after walking in the 4th inning. And Papelbon missed.
Intra-division rivals when Nick was in Baltimore, Papelbon in Boston.
Line drive, a hit to right. Now the winning run will come to the plate. Back-to-back hits by Garcia and Markakis brings up Hector Olivera. So perhaps a fantastic finish is brewing here in Atlanta. Don't forget to stay tuned for Braves Live, presented by Xfinity.
That was a fastball that Nick raked into right field. But I tell you, Papelbon's command isn't quite as sharp as it was Monday. He was fortunate to live to tell about it on that changeup to Freddie Freeman for the strikeout. If he leaves one there in the middle of the plate for Olivera, we might have a big turnaround in this game.
A single, a walk, and a fly out by Olivera tonight. Braves are giving the fans a finish tonight. They've got a shot. Tying runs are aboard with 1 out. Ground ball to short. Espinosa for 1. Throw to first is late. Olivera hustled down the line and beat the wrap. Atlanta's still alive. 1st and 3rd, though, 2 down.
And Papelbon reacted like he was upset that his teammates weren't able to turn it. No trouble at second, but a low throw by Murphy was the difference. And no question that he was safe.
Drew Stubbs is going to pinch run for Olivera at first. He can fly. And A.J. Przinsky, the final hope.
If he hits a ball like he hit in the gap in left center earlier tonight, Stubbs could score from first. With 2 outs, Drew would be off to the races on the crack of the bat.
A.J. has the lone Braves RBI tonight. And nearly got hit. 1 ball, no strikes. Stubbs is running. The pitch is low. Stolen base. 2-0 count. Now a hit could tie the game. That's why Stubbs made the club. Or one of the reasons he made the club. He's got excellent speed, and he steals that base easily.
I love the move by
Freddie Gonzalez takes away the force play, puts a little more pressure on the infield defense, and puts the tying runs in scoring position. Love it.
AJ rolls it foul of the screen. 2 balls and a strike.
This is one of those cases where if you're one of those teams that likes to play the shift, and the Nationals certainly are doing that, you better hope to high heaven that your pitcher is on board with this and is pitching to the shift, because AJ could hit a squibber down the third baseline and tie the game.
And he wants time and gets it. Out of play.
Another off-speed pitch from Papelbon, and might have been a split finger pitch. AJ got a good hack at it. Got one left though.
Now the 2-2 from Papelbon. And he struck him out. And the Nationals have swept the brief 2-game series in Atlanta. They win game 2 tonight by a final score of 3-1. Off day tomorrow for Atlanta. The Cardinals in town on Friday. We'll recap game 2 right after this.